So today we're talking about truck driver pay. And of course, I'm sure all truck drivers want to talk about and get conversation around increasing truck driver pay. For me, it boils down to how much value does a truck driver bring to the American economy? If you talk to anybody, political figures, people that are in the know, they talk about how valuable the trucker is, how the American economy could not get by without the trucking industry. So that says that the trucker is very, very valuable. You have some people that say, well, anybody can drive a truck. Well, apparently not, because according to the ATA, there's about 80,000 drivers short now, and by the year of 2030, I believe, it'll be 160,000 drivers short. So that alone, to me, says that the truck driver is a very valuable person to the American economy. So then, now the question is, does their pay reflect their value? Do they get compensated according to their value? And if you ask most truck drivers, they will say absolutely not. So then the question leads to, how much should truck drivers be paid? If they have so much value, how much should you pay them? And not really only how much, also, how should they be compensated? Because right now, drivers can go to facilities and be held there for hours on end and not be compensated for their time. So not just how, but also how do you compensate drivers? How do you compensate them fairly? What is an amount that drivers should make that people can look at and say, hey, or drivers can look at and say, hey, this is an amount that I feel like is fair. It's worth my time to go out on a road and drive trucks. What is that number? And to me, whenever you start talking about how much, the direct question, how much should you pay a carrier? That's when things get a little ambiguous, little vague, little unclear. We just don't know what to say. So we come up with something that really just kind of like smoke and mirrors, in my opinion. I'm going to allow for you to hear now what Secretary of Transportation, I think his name is Pete Buttigieg, just said recently when he was asked the question, how much should truck drivers be paid? Let's take a listen.
How much should truckers be paid?
Enough to show respect and regard for the fact that they are the very definition of essential workers. It's not just how much, but how. Truckers right now are often not paid for their time. And right now, in too many environments, from warehouse environments to port environments, there is no cost to wasting a trucker's time. We've got to fix that.
All right, so there you have it. That's Pete Buttigieg. That's your transportation secretary. If you don't know who he is, there's been a firestorm around him lately because he just came off of maternity leave. He is married to a man, and that man had a baby, and he took maternity leave. A lot of people had a whole lot to say about that, but hey, I guess we're living in a different world, so we can expect those type of things these days. Now, with that said, Pete Buttigieg was asked a direct question in this video clip. They asked him, how much should truck drivers be paid? And his answer was somewhere around enough. Enough so that it respects the fact that they are essential workers. Now, that's a good answer, I guess, but we all know that. We know they are essential workers. The question is, how much should those essential workers be paid? And to me, that answer was a bit vague. That makes it seem as if we're still where we were. And of course we are. Nothing has really been made as far as advances when it comes down to deciding how much truck drivers should be paid. But instead of asking a politician, I want to ask truck drivers. The people who work this job, who do this business day in and day out, understand the rigors of truck driving, understand what is required. I want to know from you, what do you think is a solid number? How much should a truck driver make? Now, if you don't want to give a hard number, give me an idea in your mind of what is fair compensation for a truck driver. I would certainly appreciate that. Drop the comments in the comment section below. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I certainly hope this information has been helpful. If you want to take a look at the trucking industry from a different perspective, not driving the truck, but sitting in your home office and still being really involved in the trucking business, as a matter of fact, making even more money in the trucking business, then I'm going to introduce you to what is called the freight broker business. I'm going to leave a free link in the description. It's my 5-video series titled How the Load Movement Process Works. It's going to bring you into my office with me, allow for you to take a look over my shoulder as I move loads, talk to shippers, talk to carriers. That way you can get a better idea of how the business works, and if you decide to come into it, you come into it in the light instead of in the dark. I'm also going to leave a free video right here that shows you exactly how much it's going to cost you to start your own freight broker business. So until the next time, I wish you the very best in your life and business. Remember this, your life is 100% your responsibility. See you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.